I wonder if I hit record. I didn't. Oh, I did. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. We are recording. So,
Okay.
Hi everyone. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is a replay of my beautiful friend Vangie and her husband Jim's story. And my name is Jean Collins, and I do health and wellness and chemical-free living. So, yeah, that's what you're seeing if you're on the world of YouTube. For me, my story, how I got started with Young Living, briefly, is I wanted to remove the toxins. Well, first, actually, I just wanted to feel better because I felt really sick all the time. And they really helped my little brother with his night terrors. And then I got a reference book, and some point along the way, looked up stuff for my sinuses, my immune system, my skin. And then kind of the rest is history. And tonight we're going to hear from Vangie on her story. I'm going to be taking notes along with everyone here who's live. And remember, for those of you that are here, whenever you talk, you will be seen on the YouTube replay. So if you're comfortable with that, then go for it. But if you're not, then mute yourself and maybe also hide your face until we unrecord at the end of Vangie's story and open it up for questions. Okay, go take it away, Vangie.
Okay, thank you, thank you. It's an honor, and I want to thank Jeannie very much for asking me to come speak, because I feel like, especially in today's world, we need to share. We need to connect and share, and it's good to see Joan Marie, my fellow Missourian. Yay, I'm so glad. And so I need to do a little bit of housekeeping. I always do when I tell my story. And first, that is to let you know that I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to treat or diagnose or cure your problems. This is my journey and my story that I'm sharing with you tonight, and how I reversed some very serious illnesses in our family and learned a lot about where my future was going to go. So I want you to know that I am a registered nurse. I am also a certified health coach, and I have been that for about 5 years. And my journey really started about 40 years ago when my second child was born. And Matthew was, he came out of that womb hyperactive. What can I say? That baby slept 4 and 24. He had terrible gut issues from the beginning. He couldn't tolerate breast milk. He couldn't tolerate anything. And then when he was about 2, I decided that we needed to talk to a pediatrician because he literally didn't sleep at 4 and 24 hours. And I would sit in the floor and he would run around in a circle and I would try to get him to eat. And so I went and took him to the pediatrician, and he said, "Oh, Vangie, you know, he's healthy. He'll eat when he wants. Don't worry about it." And after he was there a while, and I was talking to him about his hyperactivity, he said, "He really is out of control," is what he said. But he said, "Woo." He said, "Well, I think that we need to start him on some Phenergan." Well, I knew as a nurse that Phenergan, of course, is normally prescribed for nausea, vomiting, but it has a sleeping effect. And so I knew that they were putting my son on something, first of all, that was going to affect his, as far as I was concerned, his brain development. And I felt like it was going to really, if it took that at 2, what were they going to be giving my son when he started school? And I couldn't accept that. Now, back then, we didn't have computers and laptops or cell phones, or I didn't anyway, that I could look things up. So I spent a lot of time at the university's library, digging and researching and trying to find an answer for this child who was not like my other children. And for everything from his gut problems to his hyperactivity. And I felt in my heart they were connected, but I didn't know how to connect them. And I wasn't getting any help from the pediatrician. And sure enough, I came across in a book at the university from Mayo Clinic, an entire article on elimination diet and children with hyperactivity. And I thought, whoa, what is this? And I thought, I can do this. I can do this. And so it talked about getting rid of the dyes, getting rid of all processed sugar, eating very clean, just the perimeter of the store for him. And so we began that journey. Well, as a nurse with a busy nursing schedule, I didn't see how it was going to benefit him if everyone in the house wasn't doing it. So that began our journey of changing our diets, changing it to a more nutritional base. What happened is my son's hyperactivity came in check. His gut started to settle down. And even by the time he started first grade, when they would have class parties, he would say, I can't have that, I'm allergic, because he knew how he felt when he got sugar. He knew his brain did not fire right. And he knew that he did not like how he was. So my kids loved to, when they were in high school, they loved the fact that at that time I was really very involved in legislative at Washington and in Missouri for home care for the elderly. And they loved for their aunt to come stay because A, she didn't cook and I cooked from scratch for everything. And B, she loved Hamburger Helper. They'd never had it. They thought this was whoa, where has this been? You know, they didn't know what bologna was or hot dogs, because we stayed away from all those dyes. I became a label reader. The problem was I didn't read labels when it came to chemical cleaning products, because as a nurse, I was all in allopathic medicine. And I believe that's the way you went. And I know as a nurse working ER for years, we cleaned those baseboards with a toothbrush, and we used bleach and ammonia. And so in my home, we cleaned with bleach and ammonia, and we cleaned with Comet, 409, all of those things. Well, I thought my asthma was just what the doctor said, probably from living in Southeast Missouri. I thought my son, the one who had gut issues, started developing asthma. I did not know at that time. And if you'd have told me at that time that it was due to those chemical products, I probably wouldn't have believed it, because I would have believed the medical community was right and everything else was wrong. Then we have to speed forward. So when I met personally David Stewart, and in that process, I watched Lee Stewart hear her mother of issues. And that was my first introduction to essential oils. And I thought, wow, isn't that cool? Well, okay, move on. Back to nursing. And one of my family members, about 8 years ago, got a terrible diagnosis. And it was considered life-threatening. And they needed a lot of care, and they needed a lot of medical intervention. And so they came to live with me and my husband, and we took them to treatment, took her to, anyway, my massage therapist was always pouring these oils all over me when I would get a massage. And she would say, Vangie, you need to use these oils on your clients, on your patients. I'd say, yeah. And I knew every time I left her office, I did not have a headache. And I had lived with chronic headaches daily for years. And I took 800 milligrams of Motrin and 1,000 milligrams of Tylenol. 800 milligrams of Motrin was 3 times a day, round the clock. Tylenol, 1,000 milligrams every 4 hours till I went to bed. That was every day for years and years. And it did not take care of my headaches. And every time I'd leave her massage business, I didn't have a headache. But I didn't connect that until my sister-in-law came to live with us. And then I decided, when the doctor said there was no further treatment option for her, that I could not accept that because she was young. And I thought, no, what you do, Vangie, is you research. And I did. And I started getting into PubMed and reading. And there I found in PubMed her exact disease and how they had done studies with essential oils. And I was like, what? Whoa, it grabbed me right up. And there was 3 essential oils that had in vitro, had took care of that type of problem. Well, then I decided, okay, we're going to talk to someone about these oils. And went back to my massage therapist, and I said, why do you use this brand? And she said, because it is the best, it's the most authentic you're going to find. It is not going to have anything in it, but you do your own research, because I know you, Vangie. And I did. I started comparing companies, calling companies, checking them out. And I found that Young Living was what they said they were. That I wasn't going to have to worry about pesticides or herbicides. I was not going to have to worry if it was tested appropriately. They were totally transparent. I could come to their farms and I was like, this is what I need. And not one single other company that I investigated could tell me that. They couldn't even tell me where their farms were, or if they truly owned them and so I thought, okay, this is the company I want. This is the company I need. Well, come to find out, Young Living had those 3 oils already in a capsule. Orange, frankincense, clove. They already had that in longevity. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is what we need. I knew that her condition was not genetic. We tested. We were told her condition was environmental. There was that environmental thing right back in my face again. And I thought, wow. So I immediately, when she moved in with us, went through my house. This lightning bolt hit me or God spoke to me, I don't know. But I got the biggest bucket I could find in my house. Emptied out the sweaters I was storing and went through my house and did a clean sweep. There wasn't a cleaning agent left in my house. There wasn't an over-the-counter drug left in my house. There was nothing. And I pitched it all. And I thought, well, that was cool and invigorating, but what are you going to clean with now, Vangie? You know? So I had to call my mom and say, what did Grandma use? Because they didn't have all these products. And I trusted these products because as a nurse, I thought the government wouldn't put out products that aren't safe for me to use around my family. You know, these are on shelves I'm buying them from. And so she said, well, Grandma, we used vinegar and we used lye soap and we used lemons and we used lemon, you know, Grandma would boil her white clothes and she would put lemon on them and hang them on the line. And so I thought, okay, well, I can do that. But I don't want to make lye soap. I don't have enough time for that. So I actually did find somebody in my area that actually made homemade laundry and started using that because at that time Young Living didn't have it. And that time they didn't have a lot. They didn't have our thieves vegetable and fruit and vegetable cleaner. They, you know, so I used that. So the more I read and the more I started reading and the more I started researching and reading labels, I realized that I was toxically overloading my body, Jimmy's body, or children's bodies. I had high blood pressure. I had asthma. I had chronic leaky gut. I had numerous other problems. And I thought, I wonder how these are connected, you know? So I threw him out. I didn't think about me and Jimmy. I was on a mission to help his sister. And so I was cooking very clean for her and you know, cleaning with by then I had my kit and I did have my thieves household cleaner, had my lemon, I had all of those things. So we're cleaning, we're doing everything. What happened was in the process of getting her through, which we did, and we still knew she still had that diagnosis, but we were 8 years and she's free. Oils work. And I knew that we were getting better. I knew I wasn't having any asthma attacks. And before that, I can tell you, I worked hospice for 20 years, and between every client I seen, when I left their home, if they smoked or had animals or wood burning in their homes, I had an asthma attack before I got out, and I was using that inhaler every day. Well, guess what took care of those headaches, girls? Valor. Valor was the thing she was pouring down my back, because every client she has and had back then, she put 10 drops of Valor right down their spine before she started massage. And that's what was taking care of it. And I found that out because I started using it and applying it, like Gary Young said, down my back, down my tailbone and across. No headaches, none. I was like amazed. Then I started using diagnose, and I would just pop it under my tongue, and oh my gosh, my gut issues were improved. It was amazing. And there wasn't, I had such a leaky gut that I wouldn't eat all day as a nurse because there wasn't enough bathrooms. I had such chronic diarrhea, and it went away. It started healing. And I thought, wow, where's this been? So as I followed that journey, and as I noticed that I'm getting well and Jimmy's feeling better than he's ever felt, I thought, what have we been doing to Americans and to the medical, to people that come to the doctor? And what I noticed was people in, I would have clients in hospice, and when we met them, they'd have 20 some meds. And I'm thinking, whoa, who's keeping track of this? And when we take those meds off, they got better. They didn't need hospice. They needed someone to intervene in the meds. And so that's when I said, I've got to look at how I can change my nursing profession. So we were in Young Living and doing our thing, and my sister-in-law is getting better and better and better. And all of a sudden I'm getting better and better. No, all of a sudden, no asthma. I'm off my blood pressure medicine. It was amazing. And one winter, that was about, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years ago, Jimmy was out shoveling snow. We had a bad ice and snowstorm, and he come in and he said, I think I sprained my chest muscle. And I said, what do you mean? He said, my chest hurts. And I said, I think you better go to the hospital. And he said, nah, I just pulled a muscle. And I thought, well, let me take your blood pressure. And his blood pressure's okay. And he wasn't cool and clammy. And I thought, okay, it's fine. It'll be okay. And then a week later, he said, honey, I'm still having that chest pain. And I said, okay, get in the car. You don't get a choice anymore. We're going to get checked out. We went to his family physician. He did a chest X-ray, and he did an EKG, and he came in and he said, Jimmy, you're an atrial fib. You have to see a cardiologist immediately, and I need to get you on a blood thinner and a medication right now. And Jimmy his father had multiple strokes, and so he was very fearful of that. And so he started the medicine. And I said, Jimmy, I'm not going to let you stay on this medicine. I know the end results of blood thinners and this cardiac med. I know what's coming down the road. And so we're going to look at a holistic approach to this. And he said, okay, well, after we see the cardiologist. So we did see the cardiologist, and he said, yes, you need to stay on that. And I said, well, what I would prefer to do is I would prefer to use some natural blood thinning agents, and I would prefer to use some holistic supplements for his irregular rhythm. And the doctor said, well, I don't think that's going to work. And I said, well, I believe it will. And so the standoff was, okay, if you let him, if I put a monitor on him for a month. And I said, that's great. I agree to that. put the monitor on for a month. So we put the monitor on Jimmy for a month, but I did not leave him on the medicine. I started using wintergreen and ginger, because ginger has the ability to prevent blood clots. Wintergreen, because it's a methylsalicylate and it family, and it helps thin. I put him on omega Gies immediately, along with some CoQ10. Now, this was before we had cardio Gies. And so I put him on hawthorn berry. I put him on astragalus. I put him on garlic bulb medicine, supplement, CoQ10. He was also on cat's claw and the oils. I ordered Aroma Life immediately, and he started applying Aroma Life to his heart, the bottom of his feet, and on his carotid arteries 3 times a day. Carried it with him. And I had him, he finally agreed to go on Ningxia Red. I've been drinking him forever, but he wasn't. He said, okay, yes, I'll trust you. We're going to do this. So he went on Ningxia Red, Omega Gies, all of the supplements that I was giving him and the oils. We went back in a month and the doctor said, I don't see any atrial fib whatsoever. He said, I don't think you have atrial fib. I think that was the error in the EKG. I said, oh, good, good. He said, but he needs to stay on those medicines. And I said, well, he's not been on these. And he was floored. And he said, really? So what are you doing? And I told him, and he said, well, I don't think that'll work. I think you'll be back, but that's okay. Well, he does see, he did have to see him several times more, but we never had another problem. And the only time he ever went to the doctor without me, he's a little bit white coat syndrome. And so he got really nervous. They thought his blood pressure was up. They said, Dr. Kamei said, I think I want to double that heart pill I told you that you were on before. And Jimmy come home and come back to my office. And he says, I said, oh my gosh, did you not just ask the nurse to take your blood pressure again? You always get nervous. You should have just asked her to take it again in about 10 or 15 minutes. We are not doing that. So just to appease him, I said, okay, we'll take your blood pressure 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night. We'll keep a graph. And we did. And his blood pressure, 102/64, girls, never goes over that. I don't think he needs 2 blood pressure pills. But that made Jimmy a believer. And Jimmy touts. He even got his own account so he could order his own things and put them in the med box himself. Fast forward, we got cardio Gies. Gary Young produced that because he was having those same type of issues himself. And he wanted something for cardiovascular health. And so he brought all the best herbs in from all over the world and had his scientists work on this. And they had all the same things I was giving him in this one little capsule. So Jimmy's, all of his supplements went shoo down for his heart. Then he decided he wanted to try something for, what have they got for all this aches and pains I got? And so we put him on sulfazyme, and then he alternated BLM and Agilis once the Agilis came out. He was on BLM for a long time. And I'm a firm believer, it's just me. And I'm not here to have you do anything at all, but I believe you should alternate your oils. I just believe that, that's why we have so many, because I think that our frequencies, our oils are run on frequencies and our bodies are run on our frequencies. And I think at any given time, there's lots of things that change our frequencies, our emotions, our spiritual, our mental. And so we need to change them to see what will work at that time. And I also believe in Atobi scans. I used to do the Zytos, now I do Atobis. Because I think they're a real indicator of what your body may need right now, at that moment you're doing it. So we went on sulfazyme, and I also believe that sulfazyme, yes, is prescribed 2 twice a day, but I believe sulfazyme is individualized. MSM has been around forever. It is one of the very best products that nature ever made, and it, it's given to horses a lot, but it's the very best thing you can get for overall body inflammation. It's not just good for hands and for skin and nails, and it is good for that, but it's good for overall body inflammation. And it's also good for cardiovascular health, brain health, all of those things. So we put him on sulfazyme, and he has found a balance at the 2 twice a day. I, however, need to take 4 sulfazymes twice a day to have a balance where I'm not feeling the inflammation that I feel in my body. And especially since my bout with COVID, this is what I've done. And when Achilles came out with the turmeric, then he decided he wanted to try that because he listened to my classes enough that he knew that I was big on turmeric. And so he alternates those. 1 month he does BLM and 1 month he does Achilles. Now I started the golden turmeric. He stole it and said, I want to try that. So I am, if anyone wants to contribute, I am doing research on the golden turmeric, and I'm collecting data. So from anyone, and I'd like them to take it for 3 months. And I want to know your good thoughts about it or your bad. That's what data is about, good and bad. I also want to know if you've changed anything in your life during this process. Did you take out processed sugar? Did you take out processed foods? Did you change anything, any supplements, so that I can have a better indicator? But he's been on it 1 month. He feels like his morning stiffness is gone, and that his hands, he has a trigger finger, and it has not gotten stuck for 3 weeks. That's the longest in a year. So he's very, very happy with the new golden turmeric. He is an avid Young Living supporter. He tells every person he works with, he gives out samples, he talks to everybody because of how they work and on him. And he tells them that. Let me tell you what it's done for me in my body. Now, he is addicted to zings, but it got him off sweetened tea and and coffee. And he always at noon does a zing and a nitro every day. And that gets him through. He goes to work at 3 in the morning, and that gets him through to come home. So he truly loves everything Young Living. Now, he is very bad sometimes about going off the healthy food diet. And he loves ice cream. But he knows when he eats ice cream that he hurts more, that his arthritis hurts, that he feels sluggish. And so there is a real connection. I'm a firm believer that our oils work. There's not a single oil that I've never put on us. I should tell you his greatest story, and I forgot. I'm sorry. I get a little bit of COVID brain still after 5 o'clock, so you have to hang in there with me, girls. But Jimmy had a squamous cell carcinoma on his forehead, and it was 6 centimeters by 6 centimeters. And I knew as a nurse that they're always as deep as they are wide. They needed to cut it out. And I said, Jimmy, if they don't do that properly, that will spread very quickly. I would like you to let me try frankincense. And he said, okay. And we did. And so every day, twice a day, morning and night, we prayed over his forehead, and we applied frankincense. And I will tell you, it got bad. It looked angry. It weak. It was red. It was bad. And he'd say, do you think we should stop? I said, nope. Well, that's been, because that was before his heart. So that's been about 6 years ago. You will never, ever know where that spot was. and it was huge. There's not a scar. It's never come back. He's never had a recurrence. So, prayer is a good thing too, along with those oils. So he went around handing out frankincense forever. We used frankincense on his sister, on under her arms, everywhere, all the time, neck, everywhere there was lymph nodes. And I'm a firm believer. Frankincense is just, it is good enough for baby Jesus. It really is good enough for us. So wonderful. So that's really our story, and the fact that brought me a career change. I went back to school, got certified, and decided that what I felt led to do by God was that I needed to be working with people with chronic illnesses that were on lots and lots of medicines that doctors kind of didn't know what else to do. And so I opened a practice where I teach them all about no processed sugar, no processed food, no gluten if possible, no dairy, eat the perimeter of the store, no fried foods. And Joan Marie can tell you in Southeast Missouri, fried food is the king. We just, if it ain't fried, we don't want to eat it. And then I teach them about detoxing. And I do biotherapy. I do meditation with them. I teach them rebounding, all of the things and their goal is to get off chronic medicines and get on to life, and teaching them about the toxins in their home and how toxic our environment is, and how everything you're putting on your body is getting absorbed into that bloodstream. And so I got hundreds of patients that have improved their life, and I give God that glory, because he sent them in here. And it's wonderful, because every person we can help with Young Living and their products, every person we can get seeds in somebody's hand, or their cleaner, or their fruit and vegetable cleaner, because yeah, you can grow it organic, but if the farmer down the road is taking an airplane and dumping, which is what they do in Southeast Missouri, or he's burning his fields, then our vegetables, it doesn't matter if I think they're clean, they're not. So you got to wash them, but that's the nice thing about that veggie stuff, because once you wash it with these fruit and vegetable, it'll stay forever in the refrigerator. They don't mold anymore. They don't rot anymore. And so it brought me into a career change. But what I get to do is then keep teaching about what Young Living's done for our lives. And I have to move to my COVID experience for you, because I think our story changes over time. And I think I've been given a new story, in the fact that it was very hard for me to understand how I got COVID when I was doing everything I felt like I was supposed to do. I was doing my D, I was doing my C, I was doing my zinc, my quercetin, I was eating right. And how did I get that? Well, my husband brought it out. God love him. And and when he came in from work, he had this little funny cough I'd never heard. He never coughs. And a little runny nose. And I said, "Are you all right?" And he said, "I just feel a little achy. I'll be all right. It's probably just a cold." And I said, "But you never had a cold in 48 years. And he hasn't, never been sick. The only thing he's ever had is that heart incident and kidney stones every once in a while." And I said, "We're going to get tested." And he said, "I'm not getting tested." I said, "Yeah, we're going to get tested, because I have a lot of chronically ill plants. So if I got to shut down, we got to know." Well, our tests were negative. We had false negatives. He was better in 3 days, and then a truck ran over me and backed back up. I wasn't better. And so when I went to the doctor, she said, "I'm going to give you, I'm going to kickstart your immune system with the antibiotic." And I said, "I don't do real good with that." And she said, "No, I think you're going to need it." Well, I didn't do real good with it. And so I was up for the next 24 hours. I even passed out from the vomiting and the diarrhea. And I got dehydrated. And then that's when I went to the ER, they gave me some fluids and said, "Oh, go on." But nobody treated the situation like they are treating now. So I ended up in the COVID unit. And when I came home, I still could not breathe. I could not walk. I had lost all my bladder control. My speech was a salad. Some days when Jimmy would come in to check on me, I did not know who he was. I really felt like I had a stroke. I shook so bad. And Dina, that lovely massage therapist who got me started with my sponsor, she would call me every day and say, now Vangie, do this. Now Vangie, use this oil. Now Vangie, take this supplement. Now Vangie, because I couldn't remember to do it. And I'd say, I can't do anything else. I can't do anymore. I text her. I couldn't talk on the phone. And she said, it's okay. Okay. But if you feel like it, do this, you know. So she softly moved me forward. And so I had a regimen, and I realized 3 months later I wasn't getting really well, and I had to take a really and start researching myself. Well, that was hard because I've always had a photographic memory, but what the inflammation from COVID on my brain, I could not read a paragraph, and I could read it 5 times and not tell you what I read. I could not read, which was a heartbreak to me. I love to read. And so I said, okay, enough's enough. I want my life back. So I started a regimen. I increased my Nixia Red to 6 to 8 ounces a day. I went on amino wise. I went on mineral essence. And I can tell you, I'm not one of those people that's fond of mineral essence. I think it tastes terrible. But today I can tell you, I don't even, it's fine. It tastes just fine now. Along with omegas, along with increased sulfozyme, my vitamin C, my D I increased. I went on Immune Pro because of the sleep. I felt like the sleep was so important for healing, because that's when our body does all of its healing and repairing, and the liver's working. So I went on Immune Pro so that I was sleeping appropriately. And then I started increasing my setting my alarm so that every hour of when I was awake, I was deep breathing. I started really increase my meditation. I started diffusing Palo Santos. I started diffusing, putting frankincense and royal Hawaiian sandalwood on my crown every morning during my Bible study and my worship. And at that time, I really couldn't read my Bible. I was listening to. But I put them oils on, I diffused them, they were on my feet. I started taking longevity in a capsule, along with thieves and lemon. I got those in 3 times a day at first. And it started working. Everything started coming back. Everything started coming back. I was able to finally in May of this year, go back to work for about 3 days a week. I couldn't go back full time because my spleen was the first thing that COVID hit, and it enlarged it like 3 times its normal size. And so I was still kind of having to stay slow, had to go. But again, Young Living came through. I learned to love some new oils during that process. Egyptian gold, 3 wise men, myrrh was being used. Just any oil that I researched that had a connection to my brain, to inflammation. I was drinking Mind-Wise, all of the things that I knew that Young Living had. And sometimes I had to reread because I couldn't remember. But I know that that's what I was supposed to be doing. And I did it. And I love this company because it's given me my life back twice. I went to the pulmonologist a week ago, and he said, I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you did it, but your lungs are as good as a 20-year-old. And there's no reason for you to see a pulmonologist. And when I saw him, he said, this is a long journey, and you'll probably have some form of COPD. rest, the rest of your life. And I don't have to. I didn't have to do those inhalers. I didn't have to do breathing treatments anymore. So I told him what I did. And I said, here, let me tell you people about this stuff. Send them to me because of that. And I seen my other doctor today who said, I can't believe, Vangie, where you've come because of your long haul symptoms. And so what's happened from that is I now have 3. They just, someone told them about me, and they're long haulers with COVID, and we are working on getting them well. And I'm sharing what Young Living's done. I'm sharing with them about how you have to get the chemicals out of your home, how you have to detox, you have to get these things done. How first chemicals, then clean your system, and then put in the good. And I have a gentleman that I've started working with, and he was on oxygen continuously, and I saw him yesterday, and he said, I'm only using oxygen occasionally. So he's already moving forward with detoxification, biomat therapy, getting rid of all the chemicals, putting in some healthy supplements. And that's what Young Living does the best, guys. Their supplements, as far as I'm concerned, there's no better. And I've researched such, trust me, in this whole journey of getting certified, I really had to learn healthy supplements. And every time I looked at them, I found nothing out there that was as good as Young Living, because we put those oils in there that have a synergistic effect that allows them to be in our bloodstream and working so quickly, 4 hours opposed to maybe not at all. So and when I was looking at omegas, not just for me, but for clients, I really researched a lot of medical articles and a lot of things on omegas, and there are not clean omegas out there. Best way to get a lot of heavy metal poisoning is omegas, just buying them off Amazon and stuff. We have the cleanest omegas because of the fish we use and where we're getting it from. That you cannot get a more quality omega, and we need them. They're so important to respiratory health, cardiovascular health, to brain health. You need your omegas. There's really no comparison whatsoever. And from my husband's point of view, there's nothing that compares to CardioGize. Nothing, one little pill that will totally bring cardiovascular, hold that cardiovascular above the wellness line. So that's my story. I would love to answer any questions you have. It's been such a joy. I hope I didn't ramble too much. This brain gets a little tired.
You're good. I'm going to turn off the recording so that people live can unmute and